There's a difference between justice and revenge, but when the system fails, they start to look the same. When I left that city, I had nothing. No name, no friends, no career, no future. The last thing I saw in the rearview mirror was my wife's face cold, unreadable, and Daniel's smirk as he walked out of that courtroom free. Free because they made me the villain, the fall guy, the disposable one. But the thing about being disposable, people don't notice when you come back. They think you're done, broken, that you gave up. That's exactly what they thought. So I let them. I disappeared from their world, no phone, no email, no social media, not even a trace. It was hard, but it was necessary. The system failed me. I had to build my own. The first 6 months, I stayed silent. I worked night shifts at a garage in another state using a fake name. I saved every dollar. I studied cybersecurity, private investigation, financial forensics, surveillance. I needed tools, not just to prove what they did to me, but to understand exactly how they did it and to learn what mattered most to them now so I could take it. One night, while checking public filings under an alias, I saw a document. Catherine Miller, new CEO of Haventhorne Industries. It was her, my wife, well, ex-wife now. The same woman who cried on the witness stand saying she had no idea about Daniel's fraud, now running the very company I helped build from the ground up. She didn't just move on. She took my legacy and made it hers. And Daniel? He was still there. CFO, public face, awards, articles, even interviews where he laughed about tough times and corporate turbulence. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking, not out of rage, out of focus. Because now I had a target. I returned to the city under a new name, different haircut, some weight lost, beard grown out. I looked older, but not broken, just changed. No one recognized me. That was the idea. I rented a small apartment in a neighborhood no one like them would ever set foot in. Installed encrypted routers, burner phones, external drives, cameras. I turned that room into a war room. I wasn't playing defense anymore. I started with their bank records, easy to access through a third-party API I'd studied for months. Turns out, Daniel was funneling company money into offshore accounts. Nothing new. But now he was smarter. He used dummy charities, real estate proxies, and even Catherine's brother's foundation to move millions. I tracked them all. Then I waited. I knew from their schedules both of them spoke at an annual luxury tech event every September. Same hotel, same suite. I'd been there before, back when I was a respected name. No one would blink if someone dressed in a black suit walked those halls. So I walked in. I didn't speak to them, didn't confront anyone. I just watched, listened, filmed. I saw Daniel flirting with a reporter, not Catherine. Catherine was in the bar alone, on her phone, her smile stiff, tired. They weren't a couple. They weren't even partners anymore. Something had shifted between them, and I needed to know what. Over the next weeks, I planted digital bugs, quiet ones, tiny scripts on unsecured Wi-Fi printers at their offices, email backdoors, conference room microphones. They had no idea. For people who once orchestrated my destruction, they had become lazy, careless. One night I heard it. "He's asking questions," Catherine said over speakerphone. "He's getting nervous. We should have shut this down when we had the chance." "It's too late now," Daniel replied. "Besides, we both know who's really holding the cards." She was silent. Then, "We made a deal. You said if I took the company, I said you could have it if you stayed quiet. If you stopped digging, you keep it. If not, I release the video." "Video? What video?" I searched everything. Their cloud backups, private drives, even Catherine's encrypted Dropbox folder that she didn't think anyone knew existed. And then I found it, a video clip. It was surveillance footage, grainy, dated a year ago. It showed Catherine entering my office on the night of the alleged embezzlement. She was holding a USB. She plugged it into my work computer. Then, moments later, she deleted something, walked out calmly. She planted the files. The whole thing was staged. And Daniel had recorded it. They weren't partners. They were blackmailers. And she was now their prisoner. Suddenly, things shifted. I didn't just want revenge anymore. I wanted justice, not just for me, but for her. Because even if she betrayed me once, no one deserves to live under someone else's control like that. But I had to be sure. So I tested her. I left an anonymous envelope on her car seat. No message, just a USB with the original copy of the video. The next day, I hacked into the boardroom camera feed. She walked in, pale, holding the USB. Daniel was already there. "What is this?" he snapped. "You know exactly what it is," she said, voice trembling. "I want out. For good." "You don't make demands," Daniel growled. "You made this deal. You betrayed your own husband to save your name. You knew what we were doing. Don't play innocent now." "No," she whispered. "I was stupid and scared, but I'm not scared of you anymore." He stood, angry. "If this gets out, we both go down." "Maybe we should," she said, turning. "Maybe we deserve it." She left the room, and I knew it was time. I leaked everything, anonymously. The video, the financial records, the audio tapes, the fake charities. I sent them to journalists, prosecutors, board members, shareholders. Within 3 days, the company's stock plummeted. Within 5, federal agents raided Daniel's home. Within 7, he was arrested on charges of fraud, blackmail, obstruction, and tax evasion. Catherine resigned the same day. Quietly, without fanfare, no public statement, she vanished, just like I had. A week later, I sat in the park across from our old office. She appeared, sat down next to me. "It was you," she said. "Yes. You saved me after everything I did." "You saved yourself," I replied. She looked down. "I don't expect forgiveness." "Good," I said quietly, "because I'm not ready to give it." We sat in silence. Then she stood. "Are you going to disappear again?" "No," I said. "I'm just getting started." After Daniel's arrest, things began to collapse, but not for me. I watched as news anchors dissected the downfall of Haventhorne Industries. They spoke in measured tones. Unexpected collapse, unforeseen mismanagement, stockholder panic. No one said what it really was. Justice. Not an accident, not a coincidence. And certainly not the end. A week after the dust settled, I received a letter. No return address, no signature. Just a thin piece of off-white paper with one single sentence. "You haven't exposed everything. There's something even she doesn't know." I read it 20 times. It wasn't a threat. It was an invitation. I traced the postmark to a forgotten industrial town across the state line, once the site of a Green Future initiative Daniel's company launched years ago. Publicly, it had been about renewable innovation. Privately, I remembered whispers of toxicity, silenced whistleblowers, and an internal investigation that never saw the light of day. I packed light, drove through the night. The town looked like time had forgotten it. Rusted gates, cracked pavement, half-lit signs that flickered and buzzed. I found the shell of the old Green Future office, a squat building with its windows shattered and weeds choking the fence line. I wasn't sure what I expected to find, but inside was dust and silence, until I found the filing room. Most of it had been cleared out, but whoever did the job wasn't thorough. In a drawer under false bottoms and torn folders, I found what I wasn't supposed to. Signed medical reports from injured workers, photos of chemical burns, a timeline showing Daniel's direct involvement. He had personally ordered the suppression of reports to protect shareholders. He even ordered the site's cleanup team to dump waste illegally and used offshore shell companies to cover the trail. I wasn't just holding paper. I was holding proof of crimes. And I wasn't the only one who knew. Because taped to the last folder was another note. "If you want to stop the rot at the root, look at his wife." That night I couldn't sleep. Daniel's wife Claire had played the part of the grieving partner. Elegant, silent, always in the background. She had never been accused of anything. But I remembered how she looked at me in the courtroom, like she already knew the ending to a story I hadn't finished telling. Now I had to ask the question I'd been avoiding. What if Daniel wasn't the mastermind? What if he was the pawn? I returned home and started digging. Claire's background was too clean. Her early years were a mystery. No college photos, no friends interviewed. Even her maiden name led nowhere. Until I noticed a strange detail. A series of anonymous donations sent years ago to a Claire Whitfield Scholarship Fund. The strange part? The donations were all routed from Haventhorne's shadow companies, the same ones Daniel used for offshore dumping. That's when it hit me. She didn't just marry into this mess, she built it. Daniel's arrest was convenient, a way to burn the evidence and him with it. I needed help, so I called the only person I could trust, Eliza. Eliza used to be a journalist. We hadn't spoken in over a year, not since I'd vanished into my own destruction. But when she heard what I had, she drove 6 hours to meet me without hesitation. She scanned the documents, then looked at me, stunned. This could bury them all. But you need more. I know, I need Claire to talk. Eliza shook her head. She won't. Not without leverage. And if she's who I think she is, she's already watching you. I swallowed hard, because I'd just remembered something worse. Before his arrest, Daniel had told me something I didn't understand back then. You think I betrayed you, but you never even saw her coming. The next morning, I found my apartment door slightly ajar. My heart dropped. I never left it unlocked. I reached for the bat I kept by the umbrella stand and stepped inside. The living room looked untouched, until I saw the coffee table. Someone had placed a single object on the glass, a USB drive. Nothing else. No note, no signs of a break-in. Just a quiet, deliberate message. They had been here, and they wanted me to see what was inside. Eliza and I sat in her car, parked 2 blocks away from my place. She plugged the USB into her laptop. For a moment, it was blank. Then, a video began to play. Grainy, black and white. A hidden camera feed. It showed Daniel's office, the one from 2 years ago, before everything fell apart. In the footage, Daniel wasn't alone. Claire stood beside him, her tone calm, sharp. You think this company is yours, Daniel? Claire, this isn't what we agreed. What we agreed doesn't matter. What I built does. You said we'd take him down together? No, I said he'd take the fall first. You were too greedy. Now you're just disposable. I couldn't breathe. Daniel tried to stand, but Claire stepped closer. You signed everything I needed. You moved the money. You let me do all of it under your nose, and now you'll burn for it. Claire, please. Enjoy prison, darling. I've already made the call. The video ended. Silence. Eliza turned to me, stunned. She used him. I nodded, my throat dry, and it framed me in the process. This changed everything. Claire wasn't just involved, she was the architect. Daniel's downfall, my betrayal, the toxic cover-ups, all of it had her fingerprints. But then something else occurred to me. If she went this far to get rid of him, what would she do to me now? I had a choice. Expose Claire now or follow the trail deeper. Because if she had already covered her tracks once, this time I'd need more than documents. I'd need someone who knew her, someone who might have been close before all of this. And then I remembered her brother, Julian Whitfield. We'd met once at a company gala, polished, cold, calculating. But I remembered a detail after the scandal. Julian disappeared, resigned from the board, and vanished from the country. I started digging. A private investigator friend owed me a favor. Within hours, I had a lead. Julian was living in Prague under a different name. I booked a flight. He wasn't happy to see me. Tall, weathered, and sharp-eyed, Julian opened the door with visible reluctance. You have 10 seconds before I close this, he warned. I held up a photo of the still from the USB video. Claire framed her husband and me. You're the only person left who can tell the truth. He stared at it, his jaw clenched. You think I don't know what she's capable of? He said, You think I ran for no reason? Then help me, I said. You have a chance to fix it. He hesitated, and then he let me in. Julian poured 2 drinks, sat across from me, and for the first time, someone told me everything. Claire had always been different, brilliant but cruel. As kids, she manipulated their own parents into disinheriting Julian. As adults, she seduced her way into Haventhorne's inner circle, but always with a plan. She used Daniel for money. She used you for silence. And she used me for connections, he said bitterly, until I became a liability. I leaned forward. Do you have proof? Julian smiled, not kindly. She used to trust me. I have everything. Backups, emails, transfers, even her voice. My pulse spiked. Then let's bring her down. He raised his glass. Then we finish what she started, but on our terms. We weren't just playing defense anymore. We were building our case, quietly, carefully, ruthlessly. But what we didn't know was that Claire already knew. Because that night when I got back to my hotel, there was a message waiting for me. On the mirror. Scrawled in red lipstick. Wrong move, Mark. You forgot who taught you the game. I stared at the mirror, my breath shallow. The lipstick message burned into my mind. Wrong move, Mark. You forgot who taught you the game. Claire was here, or at least her shadow was. She knew I'd gone to Julian. She was watching. And she just let me know this wasn't over, not by a long shot. I didn't sleep that night. Julian and I sat in his study, the blinds drawn, every light off, except for the soft blue glow of his encrypted server. He showed me everything. Hundreds of files, emails between Claire and Daniel, wire transfers to offshore accounts, audio recordings from internal meetings at Haventhorne, even photos, the kind you don't want leaked. But it was one email chain that made my blood run cold. Claire to MW. He's starting to move again. If he contacts you, stall him. We're not finished yet. MW. That was my old initials in the system. She had someone watching me, maybe even close to me. I looked at Julian. She planted someone near me. He nodded grimly. Or turned someone. You need to be careful. But careful wasn't enough anymore. I needed to know who. I needed to know now. I flew back to New York with a fake name on the boarding pass and my phone powered off the entire flight. Back home, everything felt off. The street was too quiet, the air too still. And when I stepped into my apartment, the scent of her perfume hit me before I even closed the door. Claire had been here. I checked the fridge, the wine bottle we used to share opened, one glass missing. She was mocking me, haunting me, daring me. But she made one mistake. She underestimated how far I was willing to go now. The next day, I called Eliza and told her everything. Julian, the files, the lipstick on the mirror. She went pale. This is bigger than we thought, she said. She's not trying to run. She's trying to erase anyone who knows. I looked at her. Then we get ahead of her. We started preparing. We backed up everything onto multiple encrypted drives. We gave a full copy to a lawyer in another state, scheduled to release it if I didn't check in every 48 hours. But while Eliza worked the legal angles, I started looking into my people. One by one, I reviewed every contact I'd trusted, every friend I'd spoken to since the first takedown. Someone had sold me out, and I had a strong feeling who. His name was Kyle Morgan. Old friend. Used to work under me back when I was at Haventhorne. Stayed loyal after the collapse, or so I thought. But something never sat right. He was always around when things went sideways. He always had an excuse. And when I checked the metadata on one of Claire's leaked emails, I saw it. His name in the forwarding log. My hands clenched. It had been him all along. That night, I met Kyle at a bar downtown. I didn't tell him I knew. I let him talk, watched his eyes. Man, you're really going after Claire? He said, half laughing. That woman's untouchable. I tilted my head. You say that like you admire her. He shrugged. She's smart, dangerous, beautiful, you know the type. I nodded slowly, then leaned in. You sold me out. His face froze. What are you talking about? You forwarded her the files. You warned her I went to Julian. You left a trail. He went silent. I stood, calm but deadly. If I ever see you near me again, I'll let Julian handle it. I didn't need to say what that meant. Julian didn't do warnings. Back at the apartment, Eliza looked at me. You sure cutting him off is enough? No, I said. But this next move isn't about Kyle. It was about Claire's empire. Julian had uncovered something huge, a shell company she created overseas, a siphon. It had been draining funds from several client accounts, hiding them under the radar for years. If we leaked that, Claire wouldn't just lose her company, she'd lose her freedom. But we needed to time it right. We scheduled the leak 5 days from now to coincide with Haventhorne's annual board vote. Claire was planning to step back in as CEO. Instead, we'd pull the rug from underneath her, live in front of shareholders, press, and regulators. It had to be flawless. But then came the twist I didn't see coming. I woke up to my door being kicked in. FBI. Guns drawn, badges everywhere. I was shoved against the wall, my face pushed down. You're under arrest, an agent said, for conspiracy to commit corporate fraud and obstruction of justice. Claire struck first. She planted evidence, fabricated communications. Someone even leaked part of Julian's files, altered to make me look like the real architect. I was being framed again. But this time, I was ready. At the station, my lawyer showed up, the same one holding the dead man's switch I'd set up. Within 2 hours, he activated it. And within 4 hours, half the internet knew the real truth. Leaked audio, transaction records, surveillance footage, Claire's signature on a dozen falsified transfers. It was a war of information now. And she had just lost the element of surprise. They released me with no charges pending further investigation. But the look in that FBI agent's eyes, he knew. He knew something big was coming. That night, I stood on the rooftop, phone in hand. I called Claire. She answered on the second ring. I warned you, she said. And I listened, I replied. But now it's my turn. You think you've won? I don't need to win. I just need you to lose. There was silence. You forget, Mark, she said coldly. I don't lose. You just haven't yet. I hung up. And the war became personal. After the call with Claire, everything changed. She wasn't bluffing anymore, and neither was I. That night, Eliza and I gathered everything we had. Digital copies, audio recordings, signed papers. We didn't sleep, we built a war chest. Because now it wasn't just about revenge. It was about survival and justice. The next day, I received an anonymous envelope. No name, no return address. Just a flash drive inside, black, unmarked. I scanned it for trackers, malware, anything. It was clean, so I plugged it in. There was only one file, a video. Time-stamped 3 months ago. The screen flickered. Claire sat at a conference table laughing with Daniel. And then she said something that made me stop breathing. It was easy. He trusted us. You get him fired, I'll handle the rest. By the time he figures it out, he'll be too broken to fight. Daniel smirked. You always were the better liar. Claire grinned. And you're the better fall guy, if it ever comes to that. My jaw clenched. She never planned to stay loyal to Daniel. She was playing both sides, using him, preparing to destroy him if she had to. She was a snake in heels, and Daniel was just another step on her ladder. And now I had proof. I showed the video to Julian and Eliza. Julian leaned forward, a rare smirk on his face. Now it's starting to get fun. But Eliza looked uneasy. You realize what this means, right? If Daniel finds out she planned to hang him out to dry, he won't just back away. He'll retaliate. I nodded slowly. That's the plan. We leaked the video anonymously. It spread fast. Boardrooms, private discords, financial forums, even a few dark corners of the internet. Daniel saw it within hours. He tried calling Claire. She didn't answer. So he did the next best thing. He came to me. He showed up at my door, face like thunder, shoulders tight. I should kill you, he growled. I opened the door wider. You're welcome. He shoved past me, pacing the living room. She was going to ruin me, he said. I gave up everything for her. Now you know how it feels, I replied. He stopped, turned, and stared at me. You want her gone? I didn't blink. More than anything. He smirked. Then let's burn her kingdom to the ground. Teaming up with Daniel felt like dancing with a venomous snake, but for now we had the same target. He brought information. Access to private networks. Names of silent partners she never documented. He gave us everything she kept from me. I could feel the power shifting. Claire had always been 2 steps ahead. Now we were catching up. Fast. But Claire wasn't staying still. One night I received another message. Some printed, folded, slid under my apartment door. You always did underestimate me. See you soon, Mark. No signature, but she didn't need one. And she wasn't bluffing. The next morning I got a call from Eliza. Her voice was shaking. My office, it's gone. What? Burned down, last night. No survivors, thank God I wasn't there. My stomach dropped. Claire had sent her warning. This wasn't a game anymore. It was scorched earth. Julian doubled our security, moved servers to international clouds, set up new proxies. We were underground now. But we didn't stop. Because we were close. Too close. Daniel found the weak link. One of Claire's offshore holding accounts registered under a fake charity in Belize. Millions in client funds moved through it. Illegal, untraceable, until now. We drafted a full report, attached proof. Anonymous tip to the press. Another to the IRS. Within 24 hours, news exploded. CEO Claire Ainsworth implicated in offshore tax evasion scandal. Her empire started crumbling. Stock dropped 37% overnight. Her board issued a statement. Regulators launched investigations. And for the first time since this war began, Claire looked rattled. But she wasn't finished. Not even close. 2 nights later, I received a video message. Claire, sitting in a high-rise. Calm, cold, smiling. You know, Mark, I never thought you had it in you. All this fire, all this rage. Pity you never used it when we were together. You think you've won. That exposing me makes you the good guy. She leaned forward. But you forgot something important. She held up a USB drive. This contains footage of you. Audio. From your final week at Haventhorne. Some of it, let's just say, after Claire disappeared, the silence was louder than any scream. No media appearances. No leaks. No retaliation yet. Which made it worse. Because when a woman like Claire vanishes, she's not hiding. She's preparing. And the next time she shows up, it's not going to be for a conversation. It'll be for war. I started seeing shadows in every corner. Emails with no sender. Glitches in our encrypted servers. Eliza's phone rang 3 times at 3:03 a.m. each time from an unknown number that left no trace in the call logs. We were being watched. But by who? Claire? Her people? Someone else? I didn't know. All I knew was that we were being outmaneuvered. Again. Julian called a meeting. No offices, no Wi-Fi, no phones. Just a cabin in the woods, 3 hours from the city. It felt old school, paranoid, safe. Eliza was the first to speak. We underestimated her again. I stayed silent. Julian poured coffee like it was whiskey. She's got nothing left to lose, which means she's the most dangerous now. I don't think she's trying to win anymore, I said finally. She's trying to burn it all down. That was when Eliza pulled out the file. Printed screenshots, bank statements, a paper trail. It was a new lead, not on Claire, on her replacement. A man named Victor Alamain. No press presence, no history, just quietly appointed by the board 3 days after Claire vanished. But Victor wasn't clean. He was worse. Connected to an underground fund that trafficked insider data through crypto-based laundering. Claire didn't pick him. She was replaced, silenced. Someone wanted her gone just as badly as I did, but with far more power. Daniel confirmed it days later. We met at night. No lights, just a rooftop, a cigarette, and rage. She got too big, he said. Too many enemies, too many secrets. The board turned. Did you help them? He didn't answer, just flicked ash into the wind. But I could see it in his eyes. He had. She's not going to take that lying down, I said. He chuckled darkly. You think she's hiding from you? No, Mark, she's hiding from them. And then he looked straight at me. And the minute she resurfaces, she's dead. I couldn't sleep that night. Not because I felt sorry for her, I didn't. She framed me, ruined me. But part of me, the part that still remembered, how she smiled when she made coffee in the morning, wanted answers. Real ones. And justice, not assassination. So I made a choice. I was going to find her. Eliza helped me trace an encrypted message posted anonymously on a dark web forum used by whistleblowers and ex-black hats. It was simple. Still breathing, but not for long. The IP was scrambled, but a timestamp matched a signal bounce from Prague. The next hop was Morocco, then Greece. But one thing stood out. A call to an old dead burner, one that belonged to Claire's father. I remembered that phone. She kept it in a drawer. Said it was her last line if everything fell apart. I never believed she meant it. But now I did. So we chased the trail, and it led to a villa outside Thessaloniki. Julian stayed behind. He was our anchor. Eliza came with me. We flew under aliases, no digital trail, no chatter. And when we arrived, the air was thick with something, not fear, not tension. Reckoning. We found the villa, gated, guarded, but not impossible. That night, under moonlight and silence, we broke in. No weapons, just truth. And there she was, Claire. Pale, hollow, but alive. Sitting by a window, staring into the dark. She didn't flinch when I stepped inside. You found me, she whispered. You wanted me to. Silence. Then she stood slowly. I never planned for any of this, Mark, not like this. I laughed bitterly. You destroyed me. She nodded. Yes, and they destroyed me. Eliza's office burned down. That wasn't me. Someone tried to blackmail me with footage. I sent that to protect you. I stepped closer. Protect me. They wanted you to stop digging. They thought you wouldn't come after me if you believed I still had leverage. I looked her in the eye. Then tell me the truth. All of it. She sat down again, hands trembling. It started long before you, Mark. Before Daniel, before the company. I was working with people real power. And when I wanted out, they made me choose. Choose what? Betray you or lose everything? Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't think you'd fight back. I clenched. The world didn't explode the day we came back. No headlines, no riots, no courtroom showdown. But sometimes revenge isn't loud. Sometimes it's surgical. It started with a flash drive. Eliza, Julian, and I spent 5 sleepless nights reconstructing every piece of evidence Claire gave us. Names, routes, transfers, hidden recordings. We weren't just holding a match anymore. We had a torch, and we were going to burn down the empire from the inside. Claire was in hiding again, this time under our terms. No more secrets, no more games. I don't need redemption, she told me the night before we launched the operation. Just justice for both of us. For all of us, I corrected. And I meant it. Because what they'd done wasn't just betrayal, it was systemic. The board, the offshore accounts, the anonymous shell companies laundering billions through fake NGOs and disappearing whistleblowers. We had everything. And we were going to deliver it directly into the hands of the people they feared most. At exactly 8 a.m. on a Tuesday, Julian hit send. The drop went to 5 international watchdogs, 2 governments, and the inboxes of every board member's personal attorney. No threats, no ransom, just the truth. And within hours, everything unraveled. News broke faster than we could track it. Global tech conglomerate tied to money laundering and espionage. Anonymous whistleblower leaks thousands of documents. Investigation opens into CEO and board conspiracies. Victor Almain was arrested trying to board a private jet in Berlin. Daniel disappeared. Rumors said he was hiding in Panama under a false name. One by one, the dominoes fell. Every one of them. Just as we'd planned. I returned to the office building I was once dragged out of in handcuffs. But this time, I walked through the front door. Clean suit, clean record. Claire's final testimony had not only cleared my name, it had turned me into something else entirely. A symbol. And in the corporate world, symbols are harder to kill than people. They offered me the seat at the table, the very table they once used to cut me out. I declined. Some victories are stronger when you walk away from the ashes instead of sitting on top of them. A few weeks later, I met Claire one last time. She looked different. Free. You could disappear, I said. Start over. She smiled. I don't want to disappear. I want to matter. Quietly. We didn't hug, we didn't cry. We just nodded. Like two war veterans with matching scars. No forgiveness, but something close enough. And Eliza? She started her own company. Refused all investment offers from the wreckage of the old empire. We kept in touch. Nothing romantic. Just loyalty. And shared fire. I thought that was the end of it. Until I got the letter. No name. Just a small envelope. Inside it, one phrase. You weren't the only one who wanted revenge. Attached was a photo. A man I hadn't seen in 10 years. Someone who disappeared after a massive fraud scandal in Hong Kong. Someone the company had buried long before I ever walked through its doors. The letter ended with a GPS coordinate. And a time. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. I stood in the hallway for a long time. Because I thought this was over. But revenge isn't a chapter. It's a series. And I was just starting to realize I wasn't the only one writing it. The end for now.